Hello, black belts. How's it going? How's your day? Hopefully it's going incredibly because mine is going okay. I just recorded like a 30-minute long class for you, and then right as I was saying bye, I noticed my microphone wasn't plugged in. So, I'm gonna re-record the class. It may be a little bit shorter this time, so if you need to pause and go back, go forward, do it. Today we're working on some jiu-jitsu. As I mentioned in the first video, jiu-jitsu is very important for learning, especially when it comes to self-defense. Taekwondo is incredible, but it works from kicking while you're standing at a distance. Sometimes we get taken to the ground very quickly without noticing. Sometimes they may try to charge us and we won't accurately or adeptly stop it, and we'll get taken to the ground as well. And a lot of Taekwondo martial artists usually lose the fight there because they have no ground defense. We want to make sure that you have appropriate ground defense to prepare yourself. My goal isn't to make you a jiu-jitsu black belt. My goal is if somebody tackles you and they're maybe not trained as well, or maybe they trained a little bit, you should be able to get back up to where you feel comfortable, get back to a distance, and start kicking again. So my whole goal is just to keep you safe and get you back standing. Today we're going to go through the punch block series, meaning that you'll have your back on the ground and somebody's going to be punching you. I realize that things are going to look a little bit weird today with me doing it by myself, but that's how I want to do it. I could have got somebody here to help me. I told him no. The reason being is after your test in December, I can't tell you what's going to happen. You may have to do this by yourself. Now, if you have a family member or a close friend that's training with you, you can obviously partner up with them. But with that being said, if everything's still going on in December, there's a good chance you may have to do this technique all by your lonesome. And I want to show you how you can do that. Not only that, when I practice technique without a partner, you can see all the detail. So today, if you have a family member with you, you can do it with them, but you can also practice by yourself. All right, I would like you to sit crisscross applesauce. So the first thing that I want to talk about is how you ended up in this position. You most likely got tackled to the ground, and a very strong instinct that every person has is the second you're on the ground is for somebody else to jump on top of you and start punching. Real fast, go onto your knees. I want you to kind of set up kind of an imaginary person in front of you. How would you punch them? Would you punch them like this? Try it out. Sit on your heels and start punching. No, because you have no power. You would lean over and start pounding this way. When you do this, you can be a bad partner by sitting on your heels and going like this. The problem is this is not super realistic. Unless it's like a brother or sister or a friend you're messing around with, they're not going to be sitting on your heels playing patty cake. They're going to be leaning over and trying to full-on strike you. Scary, but actually kind of helpful. So, go on to your back. When somebody's leaning forward and trying to full-on attack you, you need to be ready and you need to cover. But let's say it is a friend who you're just messing around with and they're sitting here. If they're sitting on their heels, just take your hands, push them away. They have no base, you can just literally push them off. But let's say they're doing it appropriately, they're leaning over and striking you. First thing you should always do is cover your head. From here, you need to buck your hips, meaning you need to plant your feet strong, buck your hips up. As you do this, this is going to send them forward. If they're sitting on their heels, it won't work, but if they're actually trying to attack you, they're leaning forward, punching you straight down in the face, you're here, you buck your hips, they will go that way. If they don't put their hands down behind you, their head will go to the ground, which is better for you, right? So, somebody starts punching, let's do this 5 times, go. Cover, buck. Ready? Somebody starts punching, cover, buck. One more time, somebody starts punching, buck your hips out that way, buck. One more time, 1, 2, 3, grab, there. This is also called breaching your hips. I'll talk about it a couple of times today. Now, when somebody's on top and they're punching, feel free if you have a partner, pause, have the other person do it. They're here, they're punching, they buck their hips, they're there. Do they want to stay here in this position? No, they want to hit you. So they're going to continually try to punch you. If you do nothing after you buck your hips, you'll keep getting punched. However, if you're here, you're going to buck, then reach around and grab and pull in, turn your head sideways. You want to get your head as close to their body as possible because if your head's on their chest, they cannot hit you. But if your head's down here and they're separated, they can push you away and then start punching again. So you're gonna grab here. Let's do that whole thing. Ready? We'll do it 5 times. Ready, go. Butt your hips, cover, grab. Now from here, hold. All right, again, cover, buck, grab. Again, cover, buck, grab. Again, cover, buck, grab. One more time, cover, buck, grab. All right, so right now, you're on their back, or your head is chest, your head is on their chest, your hands are on your back. Grab it kind of like you're grabbing your wristwatch. It makes things a bit easier. From this point, we need to move up their body. Now, if you're a lot taller than them, then you're probably at this position already and you don't have to come up very much. But if you're a lot shorter than them, if you got taken to the ground, most likely you're gonna be shorter and a lot lighter than them, you're going to have to climb. Climb like a panda up a tree. So you're here, bring your hands up, shoulders up. Now, without a partner, you're doing kind of these shoulder crawls. With a partner, you'll be able to just climb it up exactly. So, let's do these shoulder crawls a couple of times. Go grab, move, grab, move. Once you're all the way up their body, they're gonna probably try to punch you again. Put your hand up, wrap around and grab. So let's do it again. Ready, go, grab, reach, climb. Shoot straight up like you have a question, grab. Now, if they try to punch you while you're coming up, they try to push you away. Because remember, they can't really push you from here. All you're gonna do is make sure your feet are planted and buck your hips again. So climb, they try to punch you, buck your hips. Climb, buck your hips if you need to, reach up, and grab. Let's do it one more time. Here, climb, climb, buck your hips when you need to, shoot and grab. Now, if you're the partner here, you'll be here, you start punching, they buck, they trap your hands, they grab behind your back. At this point, they're gonna start to crawl up. You're gonna wanna try to push them away. You're gonna wanna try to punch them. And I want you to actively do this if you're a partner, force them to do the right thing. So as your body comes up, as one hand lifts, they're gonna plant their feet, push it back down, and trust me, your hand will be slammed, even if they're a lot smaller than you. Once they get up, they're gonna reach their hand up, come through and grab your tricep. At this point, your hand's probably gonna be here and it's gonna be a bit bent. When that happens, repeat after me, grab their shoulder, grab their shoulder, palm up on their shoulder. If your palm's down and they do this next step, you will break your wrist. Now in a real fight, great, break their wrist, but do you want to break your friend's wrist? No. So the second they reach around and grab, turn that same wrist up. All right. So now that we got all those steps, we're gonna move on to the final step, which is breaching our hips and doing a shoulder get up. I'm gonna show you a drill to work on this. I'm gonna show it a couple of times. We'll do it 10 times in total. You're gonna plant your feet, go down. You're gonna breach your hips up, take your opposite hand, reach across and touch diagonally up. You don't breach your hips, you can't go very far, right? You have to touch as far as you can. I want you guys to do that 20 times. Get used to that motion. I'm gonna demonstrate from several different angles here. If I finish before you, feel free to pause the video and work on this. This is your most important and the most messed up step in this entire series. So work on that well, make sure your hips are coming up. Now let's do our final step here. The final step is breaching and our shoulder get up. Understand, if you got taken to the ground, they're probably heavier than you, they're probably taller than you, they're probably stronger than you. People who are lighter, less strong, and smaller than you, unless they're trained in jiu-jitsu, they're not gonna take you to the ground. They're gonna wanna stay up and fight because they feel like the ground is a disadvantage. So, assume that your opponent's always gonna be the better, bigger version of you. So when you're here, If the other person's better, bigger, and just amazing martial artist, and they're on top of you, you need all the help you can get. And one of the best helpers in this world is gravity. So they're on top, you buck, you grab, you climb up, you shoot and grab. From this point, I need gravity's help to help get him on his back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up my hips and reach. When I bring this hand over, what's going to happen is their body gets lifted up by my hips. This hand is going to rotate their body sideways until the point gravity takes over and they fall. If you don't use your hand, you don't break your hips, it's almost going to feel like you're hitting a log. It's not going to work. You need to lift them up, then rotate them by doing the same thing that we just talked about. Now, as you're coming around, you're going to slowly twist your knee down until your knee hits the ground. The second your knee hits the ground, if they're on top of you, they're falling. From this position, you're going to kick your leg over into their guard. Let's try this out a couple of times. You guys do your preferred side. Here, I have their arm trapped. I'm going to go to where their base is weak or where their arm is trapped. I lift up, I turn and reach. The second my knee hits the ground, whip around. And we're back. Let's do it again. Now I'm going to trap the other arm. Lift, reach, turn, I touch, whip. All right, let's do this again. I'm here. I buck my hips. I reach. I have their arm trapped. Whip. Now I went a bit too early there. I'm not sure if you realized that. If you saw that, then you're probably a pretty good jiu-jitsu martial artist. You're here, or you've trained before. I have the other arm trapped. I buck my hips. I reach, and I kick around. Now, I'm going to do it 2 more times. Feel free to switch with your partner if you're doing this by yourself. 2 more times as well. Trap, reach. The second your knee hits the ground, whip. I'm back. Trap, reach, whip. And I'm here. Now, sit crisscross applesauce for me. We're going to do the whole thing in a second. I forgot to go over one thing today. And ironically, it's probably one of the more important things. I want you to understand that this is the core elements. And if you're struggling, work on the tasks that I showed you. Work on the climbing, work on the shoulder get up, work on the bucking your hips and grabbing. Covering your head, all those things are very important, but there's one small detail that will heavily prevent you from doing this in the wild, out in the world. That is trapping a leg. Trapping a leg. Now, what trapping the leg means is a lot like trapping the arm, is you force it so it can no longer move or escape. If you don't trap the leg, what they're going to do is they're here, they're punching you, you do all your setup, and then trap their arm, and then you start to go over, and then they move their foot out, and they don't let you do it. You need to trap the same arm and the same leg to get across. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Feel free to work on that a little bit. But today, I don't need you to get down the full concept. I need you to get down the steps and the processes of what you can do to work on it at home. Then, once you get that down, I'll do another class later on this jiu-jitsu segment, and I'll break it down even more, and we'll talk about that trapping the leg. It's the most important step, but just work on the individual elements for now. So I'm here. I'm home, they start punching me. There. I butt my hips. I grab. I climb the tree. I reach around, trap their arm. At this point, they should grab my shoulder, have their palm up. From here, I'm going to trap the leg. I'm going to trap the leg, the same one that's trapped, so I'm going to make sure that this foot is on the outside, tucked in as tight as I can. This foot's on the inside. So one foot is between my legs here. The other foot is on the outside of this leg. I have the arm trapped. I buck my hips and reach over. The second my knee hits, I win. From there, I'm in their guard, and I'm a lot safer than getting punched and mount. So, that's a lot of a martial art that you've never learned before. Practice it, work on it at home. I will direct several black belts to this video, because we'll be kind of doing this in classes a little bit, working on this by ourselves a little bit, so feel free to come back and keep watching this video. It's gonna give you a lot of different techniques. If you're struggling, that's okay. You're used to kicking while standing, not rotating somebody's body around while they're on the ground. Height and weight is a big factor, but when doing jiu-jitsu properly, it's less of a big factor. You can often negate somebody's weight or height just by using certain skills. That's why I love jiu-jitsu. When somebody's a lot taller than you in Taekwondo, it's hard. It's hard to get past. There are ways, but you have a little bit of a deficit. In jiu-jitsu, you just have a different superpower than they do. Now, being lighter or being smaller can be a benefit if you use it the right way. Otherwise than that, thank you guys for being here today. I can't wait to see you next week. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.